Good afternoon. Welcome to AppsEvents Summer Summit. My name is Gito. I'm going to be your host for the next 2.5 to 3 hours. We've got a great lineup of speakers to you today. You'll meet them all in a minute. But first, just to give you an idea of how the next few hours is going to go. As you can see, there's our speakers lined up over there. We'll get an introduction one by one. Lots of you have already found the chat on the right side. Please do use it as the sessions go through. Start discussions on there. If you ask questions in there, then I can bring it up and show it to the presenters when their session's finished. There'll be a quick Q&A at the end. So please put those questions in the chat so that we have a chance to answer them at the end of each session. Quick thank you before we start to Acer for Education. Thank you for them for sponsoring us so that we can bring this summit and this training live and free to everyone. This video will be on YouTube afterwards. So if you do have to drop off at any stage or want to re-watch any session, it will be on the channel afterwards. Feel free to share that further as well. And we'll be hearing from Bob from Acer in just a minute. A note on that, as many of you will know, AppsEvents do run training on Google for Education throughout the year. We're currently running most of them obviously online, but hope to get back to in-person training in the near future. If you do want to win a chance to attend one of those trainings, be it a G Suite certification bootcamp or a summit itself, then please do go to that link, gsummit.link/Acer, fill in the form and give yourself a chance of winning that free seat. I will keep sharing that link as our summit goes along today. Also, thank you to A Learning Lab running a training session as ISTE standards. So please go and visit there if you have interest in being an ISTE certified educator. And when you're watching live, or if you're watching it at a later time, please do tweet out and share things that interest you. If you learn a tidbit from one of our presenters, please do share it and tag it as Google PD or AppsEvents so that we can see your sharing and keep the ideas flowing. I am going to bring our first speaker in straight away. First person who's going to talk to us today is Rob from Acer. So here we are. Hello, Rob. How are you today?
Hello, I'm very good. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the different teachers connected all over the world.
Yeah, we've been sitting in the back watching the comments come in before we started and trying to work out if it is good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, we should be saying. I think you're right. Go for all of them, Rob. We saw you obviously a month ago. For those of you who were with us then, Rob did join us for the first of our summer summits. A note there as well, there was an earlier summit today, run in, I think, Bangkok time. Do find that video. There's a totally different lineup of speakers. So some great content there that's different from what you're going to see now. So if what you see now interests you and helps you with ideas, make some time at some point to watch the other summit as well, because the whole different summit, a whole different set of speakers, and is well worth watching. Bob, you're going to talk to us about Chromebooks and how Chromebooks and Acer is helping in education. I'm going to leave you to it, and I'll see you at the end.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Guido. And again, good day to all of us. Well, you see, Acer for Education. So why Acer needs an education team where I'm proudly be part of. We need it because in order to do our job, so bringing the innovative technology to you and to all the schools, we have realized that it's a kind of job that cannot be done just by ourselves. It's true that we are producing devices like Chromebooks, but at the end, the customer, so the schools and the teachers are very special to us. So what we have realized is that our job cannot be done just by ourselves. So that's why we are in daily contact with all the different players and stakeholders, not just the usual suspect like our education reseller, but also with big players like Google. So we are, of course, in touch with the Google for Education team in order to be aligned about the best way to introduce technology into the classroom. We are also partnering, and we're very proud to partner with professional development partner like AppsEvents, because we have realized that in order to bring the right products, we need the right technology, the right platform, but most importantly, and probably we have all noticed that in the past month, is always important to be always up to date and to collect experience from others that probably have a more advanced level of a school digitalization. But on top, we've realized that at the end, it was important also to include in our ecosystem also our schools, the most innovative ones. And we wanted to offer an opportunity for them to gather, to share their experience and their best practices. And most important also for us to collect directly from the field, which was the trend, which were the needs in the schools, in order to keep improving the technology that we are delivering, because we are all know that the teachers with technology are making the difference, but our role is to provide you the right technology. So that's why this kind of event that we are organizing with our innovative school that are covering 3 continents, and we have 35 schools already on board, is very important. And it was very important because it gave us the opportunity to really have a conversation with the final end user. And what we have learned is that what there is in common between the different innovative schools, it doesn't matter if they are in Middle East or in South Africa or in Spain, is the development, so the planning. All the schools, they had a clear plan in mind where the teacher's development was one of the crucial elements, more than selecting the right products on the right technology. Because at the end, if teachers are not using the devices and are not always up to date, there's no point. And that's why the role of partners like AppsEvents is important to maintain the right level of knowledge about the platform. And then the devices, besides opening the doors to the platform, like the G Suite for Education, it can give you also the opportunity to enlarge your creativity, including software or products, for instance, linked to the STEM development. And that's why we're also collaborating with some of the best-in-class solution, thanks to a program that we are launching now called Teaching Resources. And then what we have also acknowledged is that thanks to the right choice of the device and the right implementation of the technology, it will offer the right versatility to the schools. The picture that you see on the right was actually taken in a school in Spain. They were not waiting for us, and all the students were using the same device in 4 different ways. But for the teacher, the experience was completely seamless. So this is my view, one of the power of having the right technology in your classroom. We are here to talk about Chromebook. So why schools are choosing Chromebook? As we speak, I think that around 1 out of 3 devices shipped in EMEA are Chromebooks. So why schools are choosing it? First of all, because the devices are extremely speedy, safe, and durable. And we will see later what does it mean. But having a device that can be switched on in a few seconds, or you can restart from the sleep mode in 1 second, it's a great value, because in this case, the teachers can not lose too much time, and the experience is going to be of having a device into the classroom is going to be transparent. Then the platform is also playing a big role. So the G Suite for Education has been made with teacher for the teachers. So it's clearly facilitating the collaboration and the inclusion. And the Chrome, so the operating system, is also reflecting this functionality. But then there was another very important point. Maybe you belong to a large district, so you have your own IT department. Or maybe you belong to a small school and you are also managing the IT part. But no matter what, thanks to the Google Admin Console that is included in the Chromebook Education Upgrade, all the schools of all kind, they can really appreciate a huge cost benefit in terms of timing and resources. So whether you have 50 Chromebooks or 5,000, with the Google Admin Console, you can manage all of them. And clearly, from school's perspective, this is one of the key elements why schools are choosing Chromebook. And then I wanted to put all these frequently asked questions because we had opportunity not only to talk with the teachers that were new to this world, but also to parents. And these are all the different doubts or questions that we have raised. And I think this is important because there are a lot of false myths around the Chromebook, like the fact that they can only work online, or that there are no application, or that I need to pay for the G Suite. So I just wanted to give you an overview, and maybe there is something that you don't know yet. So I hope that I made some useful information for you to share. But clearly, all of this goes in the direction that the experience with the Chromebook and with the G Suite for education, you can really have the best combination, because let's say that one has been made to work with the others. I said before that Chromebooks are made for education, but what does it mean? And is there any difference from the Chromebook made for education from those that I can find in the retail? Well, yes, there are differences. One is regarding the being durable. What does it mean being durable? All the Chromebook that we specifically made for the education, they are compliant to military standard. So it means that they are resistant to temperature, humidity, to a number of sets, including even the drop 8. So 122 centimeter is, for instance, the limit, and it means that it can cover the largest number of desks that you can find in the classroom. And then considering that we are giving these devices even to primary students, is important that this device can last for many years. So having this military standard compliant is very important to leave teachers and parents more safe when it comes to give a Chromebook to their kids. It's also important to underline the speed-resistant keyboard. So it might happen that you can spill some water on the keyboard. So having a device that can drain the liquid is important. And the anchor keyboards. So it happens sometimes that kids are playing, maybe they're misusing the keyboard, they're removing just one keys, but because of that keys, all the keyboard must be replaced. And it means that you have to bring the Chromebook to the service, so you're losing time. So having a device that by design is considering this aspect is extremely important. School battery life. So depending on your pedagogical scenario, it may happen that maybe you're using the Chromebook for 6 or 8 hours. So ensuring a minimum of 10 hours of usage is extremely important. And this is what all our Chromebook for education are offering. And then on some selected model, we have also the opportunity to have the Corning Gorilla Glass with the opportunity to reduce the number of batteries that are, let's say, living on the surface. But this is for what is concerning the durability. But we have spoken before about being versatile. And being versatile means that the Chromebook are also flexible. So one of the key elements that probably you will need to think about when it comes to deciding which is the right Chromebook for your needs is regarding the form factor. And the convertible form factor is indeed one of the most important point. Having a convertible device, first of all, is giving you the opportunity to have a touch display. And this, for the new generation, is becoming quite natural to have a display with opportunity to be touch. And then, as we've seen in the previous picture, it can also give you the opportunity to use the same devices in 4 different ways at the same time. Some of our convertible devices are also offering the second camera on the keyboard. Why do we need that? We need it because if, for instance, we have to create our own content, a video or a picture, and we want to use our devices, with a camera on the keyboard, I can use the display of the Chromebook as my smartphone, and the camera is on this side. So it can give you really the best experience if you really want also to create your own content. And then there are schools that are requiring an active pen. So this is also one of the options that we're offering. And I also want to underline that we started Chromebook probably 8 years ago, and all these features have been developed in years, listening to the feedback from schools. So that's why this type of Chromebook have been really built for education, and they are different from those that you can find in the standard retail. And if you're thinking, okay, what are the other schools are using? This is just a small ranking among the most selected devices from our school in the first half this year. So the most adopted devices is the convertible 11-inch. Second place, the standard, the regular clamshell 11-inch, because it's also the most affordable. And we have seen a growing demand from school across all EMEA on a large format display. So the 14-inch, not only for teachers, but also for students belonging to the secondary schools, is becoming pretty popular in all our countries. I just want to close mentioning that we are also creating some special content for teachers. This is pretty unique in our industry. So if you want to follow, thank Guto for posting the link of our blog. It's in English, but it has been specifically designed for teachers. So we are sharing different success stories from some schools, education trend or learning tips, or also some education tech tips provided by our partner, AppsEvents. And if you want to stay in touch with us and our team, these are all the different channels where we are available. So follow us, stay connected.
I think right at the end there, Bob, we've just got you freezing right at the end. I think you're back now. We lost you for a couple of seconds.
Yes.
I think you were just giving your goodbyes, and here's the links to keep in touch.
Yes, sorry, yes. I will say goodbye.
If it's going to freeze, that's probably the best time for it to do so, just as we finish.
I agree with you, Guto. I agree with you.
First of all, thank you. I don't think I gave you a proper title, Education Manager for Acer, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. There's actually, you've changed a few things from the last time I saw you present on that, and those myths, the sheets with the Chromebooks myths, was really useful.
Yes.
Some of those we've seen come up time and time again.
Indeed.
I might actually steal that sheet and use it to share.
No worries.
It might actually be useful if we take a screenshot of it and we'll show it out on Twitter afterwards, because I'm sure that one will help a lot of people answer questions. Also, interesting to see the most common devices, the 511, the 311, and the 314. Because that's the other question we get time and time again is, which device is best? Which one's everyone else buying? Yes. I got to say, on a personal level, I've seen the 713 that's come out in the UK this week.
It's the one I'm using right now, by the way.
For us to do, the 713 is Acer's new, I guess you'd say, top range.
Yes. It's for high performance Chromebook. Yes. And let me also one other piece, because there is another device that is becoming more popular. It's still not in the top 3, but it's the 12-inch, but with a different screen ratio. So instead of the standard 16:9, it's featuring a 3.2. So it gives you almost 20% of more view. And especially if you're working on standard document, this is giving you, more screen to work on. So again, it really depends on your needs.
It's really tall.
Yeah, exactly. So like the old TV, So of course, if you are using a lot of YouTube videos or a lot of presentation in the landscape mode, it doesn't really fit. But if you're mainly working on standard document, that could be another interesting alternative to evaluate if you are going to decide which is the best device that's fitting me with my school. Yeah.
Well, when we get back to in-person summits, I'm absolutely going to steal your 713 and have a play around and see what it feels like.
Okay.
Lastly, for joining us, I know you're going to stick around and watch the rest and say goodbye at the end with us. But again, thank you much, and thank you to Acer for the support you're giving us. Just a reminder on that if you want to win a free seat at a bootcamp or summit, either online or when in-person ones restart in the future, go to that link at the bottom, gsummit.link.acer/Acer, fill in that form, and win a chance to come join us in a future bootcamp or summit. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much. Goodbye to everyone.
That gives me a chance to bring in our next speaker. This is Rachel Coathup. I know in the comments I've seen a few people say familiar face already, Rachel. If you watched our sessions over the past few months, you have a good chance you've come across Rachel already. Rachel is the lead teacher for technology and learning at Leo Academy Trust. Give us a quick explanation of your role, Rachel.
So I joined the trust during the lockdown, so it was sort of in the height of everything going on, and my role has very much sort of grown across that period of time. It very much started with just offering a huge range of staff CPD opportunities, and then now it's very much been looking at how we can really support teachers in the transition, because obviously we haven't had that insight training that we'd usually have in getting teachers prepared. So that's been all sort of happening digitally, and also thinking about what September is going to look like in terms of a blended and hybrid approach as well.
Maybe that's my chance to ask, what do you think September is going to look like, at least at your schools?
So at this moment, we're very much sort of keeping in mind that aspect of being flexible and ensuring that all of our teachers are prepared with, schools opening. That is what we're, hopeful for September to look like. But just being aware that we have those systems in place. We have Google Classroom all set up. We use Seesaw for our early years, and that's something that we're rolling out in September. So it's very much going through and supporting the teachers in the use of a new platform. And then in terms of Google Classroom, just continuing to sort of establish how that's going to be used and having that alternative as well, because even though if schools do open, and we are always hopeful for that and that things don't change, but it is that factor that if things do change, and we are going to have some pupils that won't be coming into school regardless of if schools are open. So I think it is important that all schools and all teachers are keeping in mind that actually you do need to think about what you're going to offer for those pupils that can't actually come into school as well. So that's been what we've been factoring in.
Have you, both when lockdown was at its fullest, I guess, and looking forward to the possibility, as you said, of some children not being able to be in school all the time in September, have you found yourself coming up against the obstacle of children not having the right devices at home or not being able to access work at home because of a lack of devices or connectivity? Has that been one of the problems you've faced as schools?
So this was something that we addressed. We're a primary MAT, so for anyone that's joining and doesn't know Leo Academy Trust, we're a primary school. So for us, when lockdown started, it was very much trying to work out what devices our parents had access to. So that was just trying to ensure that for those pupils that didn't have access to a device at home, that we were able to support in being able to send them home with a device that they'd be able to access. And that also included being able to provide internet dongles as well. That is something that we're going to continue to offer in September, just so that we can actually continue to support all those learners at home. And come September, we will be rolling out all of our Key Stage 2 with one-to-one devices, we're trying to get all of our year ones up and going as well. But that's sort of a work in progress and bigger digital strategy that we're trying to implement. So I think, in terms of devices, it is an important thing to talk about for schools because they need to be aware. But it's also thinking about the delivery of those lessons in a hybrid approach as well.
Before I just let you go and get started on your session for us today, one shout out that Rachel is one of those people who started her job right in the middle of lockdown. I can't imagine a harder job to start mid-lockdown than lead teacher for technology and learning. So just kudos for me for that.
Thank you.
Already talking about how excited they are to see your session. There's also a note that someone says it looks quite Spanish behind you. Away on holiday and in Spain. Gladly, thank you massively for coming to join us and taking a gap from your holiday to present today. And you're going to talk about expeditions, am I right?
Expeditions and Tour Creator.
I look forward to it. I'll see you at the end. One last note, Anna Maria, I saw that you have a question for Rob. I'll make sure to bring that up with him at the end. If you have a question for Rachel, please put it in the chat and we'll bring it at the end of Rachel's session. For now, however, off you go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I thought that today, I usually do this the other way around, but actually I thought today I would start straight away in Tour Creator. It's definitely one of my favorite apps for teachers to use. And I think it's one that's sort of not used enough in terms of the content that's available, that you can actually create immersive experiences for your pupils, and they can also use this as well to create their own. So if you've never seen Tour Creator, this is just a quick little video about it.
Hi, my name is Darren Nakakihara, and I'm a 4th grade teacher from Beacon Park School in Irvine, California. Today, I want to talk to you about 2 technologies I'm using in the classroom to help my students engage more deeply in lesson materials. The first is virtual reality, or VR for short. VR allows you to transport students into hard-to-reach places or experience places with a new perspective. Students can dive into activities they wouldn't normally be able to try. We've had the opportunity to travel to the Great Barrier Reef, or stand in the middle of a tornado, or travel.
So I'm going to stop it there because this is just sort of, it allows you to just quickly see sort of that excitement that comes with virtual reality. But what's nice about Tour Creator is that this content doesn't have to be just exclusively seen through Google Cardboard or virtual reality headsets. They can just be simply viewed online, and they're created either using Google's Street View images, or if you have access to a 360-degree camera, then you can actually go in and create your own. So to get onto Tour Creator, you just need to open up a new tab and go to Tour Creator, and it's this one here. And you'll see straight away that this is a virtual reality tour that is taking you through Rome at the moment, just in the background there. So what's really nice is that it's really simple to create a new tour. So just tap on Get Started. And then you'll be taken to a page like this. Now, something that I always point out is that you'll notice that there is a new tour and there are templates. Now, the one thing that I do recommend about the templates is that if you've ever used Google Expeditions and you've found that there are some fantastic tours in there, but realize that actually there's some things that are in there that you don't like, that you can actually go through some of these and find a particular one that you might be looking for. So for example, if I just go into the 7 New Wonders of the World, this will bring up a fully completed Google Tour Creator, and it has all of the scenes in there with all of the information and all of the overlays, but you can actually go through and decide to delete or change any of the ones that are already there. So if, for example, you're doing a unit just on the Colosseum of Rome and all about sort of Rome and the history, then this is a nice way to actually start with a scene that's already there. There's already the information with the image overlays as well, so you can see these here, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But all of this is here for you to use. And then you can simply just delete the ones that you don't want and add in your own instead. So it is sort of really helpful. And also, if you want to take your pupils to experience any of these expeditions, but know that they don't have access maybe to a device where they'd be able to view them, then you can go through and publish these and view them on a Google site. You could share the direct link so that they could access them in Classroom or on Seesaw. So that's one of the nice things about Tour Creator there. So those templates are just a nice quick option to use. But I'm actually going to go through and show you how to create your own tour from scratch. So you'll see that when it comes up, it's going to ask you to pop in your title. And I'm very much, I know I am in Spain right now, but I'm very much missing home. So home for me is back in Melbourne, Australia. And you can see in here, I can put a description in. So Australia is not only a country, but also a continent. And then I can add a category. So this is just a helpful way to sort of label and sort them all together. So when you actually go through, and you'll notice that there is a cover photo to add on. So I sort of am very, don't spend a lot of time on my cover photos. I always just grab one very quickly from Pixabay. So I've just pre-downloaded this in the means of saving us some time. So I'm going to go in with this one. And this is just a nice, easy way as well, because the cover photo requirements are quite strict. So it's just a nice, easy way to be able to get something in quickly before you actually start to create. And when this comes up, this will take you into the Street View on the left-hand side. If you're using a 360-degree camera, then this is where you can go through and upload those images directly in here as well. So I can go through and search. So I'm going to start with Melbourne South Bank. And what's just important to remember with Google Street View is that obviously whatever you search in here is just going to plonk you usually somewhere around that rough area. But what you can do is you can zoom in onto the map and you can pick up the Street View person. I don't know if the Street View icon actually has a name. I wonder if anyone actually knows in the chat. But I can actually then move this around to find the exact position that I want to. So I'm trying to find the South Bank. So there we go. So we can see here, this is the South Bank. And then I can just add that scene like so. On the side here, this is where I'll go in and populate the name of the scene. Oh. And I can put in the exact location. So if I wanted to have the exact address, I'm just going to put in South Bank, Melbourne, just because I'm sort of short on trying to save some time. And then the description. Now, what's really nice about this is that you can actually then populate this with some information. You can go and do some research and also to use this as a point in that you can pop in some questions. So what I like to do is to sort of use it as a way to get my students to think about what it is that they can see. So at the moment, you'll see that this is actually looking into one of the restaurants on the South Bank. But in the bottom left corner here, I can set the starting view. And this is crucial when you're leading and creating a tour creator tour for your pupils to use. And the reason for this is that any experience, whether that's a movie, whether that's a video, even things on TikTok that we're seeing all of our pupils use at the moment, is that actually what they see initially on that first screen is going to either entice them to keep watching or immediately lose their interest. So that starting scene is always really important. It's exactly the same with virtual reality. So actually, I want to spin this round and show this particular part here, which looks out into the Melbourne CBD. And then I just simply tap on save. And what that means is that when this scene starts, it's going to start here rather than sort of just looking into the restaurant. And I can go through and I can add a description in. So South Bank. So there we go. And then what I can do underneath here is to add a point of interest. Now, point of interest is just to sort of call out a key area. So you can see that I can add that point of interest, and then I can move this blue exclamation mark almost and position it to where I want it to go. So I'm going to pop it here. And again, I can just simply label this Melbourne CBD. And again, I can put in a description if I want to. So I'm just going to put Melbourne Central Business District. And I can go in and add an image. Now, again, I've just downloaded these ahead of time. So it's just much faster to be able to do that. And it's also worth saying that you don't have to add these images in as well. You can just simply use text and not have any images. But one of the reasons that I like to add image overlays is either to show the comparison of what maybe something looks like from an aerial view, or maybe if you're looking at sort of the history, then you want to use an overlay to show what it used to look like. So this is where that history aspect comes into it. It's also that idea of being able to track a character story that you could do as well. So you could plot out the different locations that a character follows within a story, and you can see that just simply by tapping, I can either enlarge or shrink that down as well. And then I'm going to go in and add a new scene. So I can simply just tap at the bottom here. Again, it's going to bring up the scene option at the top here, and I can search. So I'm going to go to the 12 Apostles. And again, here, I've got that ability just to check the scene is okay. You will see, and this is something that I always explain to pupils before they get on and use it, is that they will often see people in the photos. And this is because when I go in onto and zoom in and I pick up the little moving icon, you can see that there are a range of different Street View images. And it's important to note that obviously these images do come from people that have gone to take those photos. And as always, it's not always likely that they're going to be sort of without anyone there. So when you're sort of happy with the image that you've selected, you can add the scene. And again, in here, this is where I can go in and put the name in. And I can add a description. There we go. And again, this starting view shows the path back to the car park. So I'm just going to change that starting view to actually see out. And you can see here that we're actually missing some of these apostles because they have eroded over time with the waves. So again, what I'm going to do here is to add an image overlay. In this one, I'm going to go with a sunrise photo. And also just to show sort of how a place has changed over time as well. So it's just that nice aspect of being able to see a location from a different perspective as well. So again, you can see here that I can add in that image there. And what I might like to do is just simply pop in 12 Apostles in the morning. And what I can also do is to add some ambient audio. So this is just a really nice way, especially to sort of bring in that mindfulness or meditation aspect, is that you could create a tool that you put up and share with your pupils, but then add some sort of calming music. So for this one, being by the beach, I thought I might look for some sort of waves or sounds of the beach. And I like to use Ben Sound, which is all royalty-free music, which brings in that digital citizenship aspect into a lesson, which is always a really nice thing to do. So I'll go with this one. And it's all free to download as well. Just give it a second. Okay, just see if that, yep, there we go, it's come through. So I just need to then press on the speaker to add ambient audio, and any audio obviously that I've got downloaded, I could simply just add that in directly. And then you can see there, I can then preview to play it straight away, or I can just wait until I've published the tour. Now, one of the other things that I can do is to also add a voice narration. So before I do that, I'm just going to search for my final place. And this was where I spent a lot of time on my holidays, which is a beautiful national park in Victoria. And again here, what's important is obviously that ability to sort of decide where it is that you actually want to take the position and to be able to view out. So this one is good for me. And again in here, I can just simply label this Wilson's Prom. And what I'm going to do for this one, rather than adding a description, I'm actually going to add a scene narration. And again, I'm happy with the actual starting view for this one, so I'm not going to worry about changing it. If you've never used online voice recorder, this is just a nice quick way to be able to record a voice narration. Wilson's Promontory National Park is made up of some of the most beautiful beaches that you'll find in Victoria, Australia. It's also a very quiet holiday destination. And again, this will then process, and then you can quickly download this and then simply upload it directly into that tour creator scene. And again, when you then publish this tour, this audio will then go through. So it's just that nice aspect of being able to have that play as they go through. So especially for younger pupils where maybe they won't be able to access or read that description, that you could actually talk through all of the facts or information or history about a specific location as well. And again, you can see that that has been added on and that scene narration is there. Now, I could obviously go in and add more scenes, but I'm just going to do a 3-scene tour today. I'd always recommend keeping your tour creator tours to a maximum of 5. I've just found personally that it seems to sort of cap it nicely, that if you do want to use it in the Expeditions app, that the actual download speed is quite quick there. So to finish off your tour, all you need to do is tap on Publish. And you've got your visibility settings. Now, I always keep it to unlisted and then tap on Publish. Now, once this is published, it will publish it to Polly, and I can copy this direct link. So this is where I was saying earlier that I could send it through Google Classroom or any platform that you're using, or even just simply to email it to someone. But if I tap on View Tour, what you'll actually see in a moment is that this tour will actually pan around as if you were viewing it through virtual reality goggles. So it's just that nice aspect, being able to bring that up. And again, with any of this content, and it will bring up that information on the left-hand side and that image as well. So this is where, as I was saying, those questions that you can add in here are a nice way to sort of guide your pupils through as they work on that task. And that audio that we added in earlier, you'll be able to find that in the cogwheel on the top right, and then simply turn ambient audio on. And then for my final one here, I'm just going to turn that narration on.
Wilson's Promontory National Park is made up of some of the most beautiful beaches you'll find in Victoria, Australia. It's also a very quiet holiday destination.
So you can see there. Now, once that is then created, this is what you can do is you can use that share option down here. And this is where you can either copy that link, you can embed it directly. So if you're using Google Sites, then you can actually embed this directly within, which means that the tour will pan around really nicely. So what I'm going to jump into now is Google Expeditions. And Google Expeditions allows you to let your pupils explore virtual reality and augmented reality, depending on what device you're using. And I'll show you a bit of that comparison as well. So in terms of what I just showed you in Tour Creator, that obviously allows you to create your own virtuality tours. But with Google Expeditions, there are a whole range of virtuality tours that are already created for you to quickly take your pupils to go and explore. So I think this is a really nice way to be able to allow them to explore, especially right now where we're seeing some schools are back, some are still during distance learning and aren't able to leave the house, aren't able to go on trips that they'd usually go to. So being able to take pupils to explore inside a museum, to explore outside a space, to explore a beach, go under the water, look inside the human body. There are a whole range of different tours that are available as well. And again, with the virtuality, you can do this using headsets or Google Cardboard, but you can also do it just simply using the Expeditions app. And this does work on Chromebooks as well. So we have our pupils use it. So it's just a nice way. Obviously, they don't get that same experience of having it up to their face, but I think with virtuality, I've never used it with the goggles, and I just find that my pupils still have that awe and wow moments with it just appearing on their screens as well. And you can see here that this is just showing you how you go about going and downloading it. And then that AR content, this just shows you sort of a quick little view into being able to interact with that content and zoom in nice and close and experience it. Now, if you don't have an AR compatible device, then you can actually just use this in a similar way. The only difference will be is that content appears on a white background rather than in your own classroom. So one of the things that we often like doing is putting dinosaurs on shoulders and legs and things like that. But if you don't have an AR compatible device, it doesn't matter as well. And I'll be sort of quick to share these, that there is a device compatibility list that you can check to see if your devices are compatible as well. And in terms of using Google Expeditions, one thing that I found quickly when I started using it for the first time as a teacher was that I noticed that it was going to be one of those things that very quickly became sort of that novelty factor of that excitement. And I immediately realized that actually I need to focus on those questions that I ask when I set this experience for my pupils. So thinking about the observations in a normal way, that if you give pupils a photo, you ask them to think about what they see, what do they think they'd hear if they were there in that time, what time of day is it, when is this picture come from? So when they do an expedition, you can use those same observations, wonderings, and empathy that you would if you were looking at, say, an image or just a video of something. Use those to guide the lesson and use it as well to get pupils to actually collaborate and share and talk about what's happening. So it's not just a very, headsets on, off you go, come back and then discuss, but actually break it up so it's not just a constant 10-minute period of being on those headsets, if that's what you're using, but that you do break those questions up and allow them to talk about what it is that they're seeing, what it is that they're experiencing as well. And a couple of key things to remember before I jump in and show you Expeditions is that you do need to consider the first time your students will use Expeditions. It's sort of a big thing of mine is actually to share a tool that is exciting, and it is going to sort of spark that curiosity for them, but then tie it into those questions that are going to allow that lesson to come alive. And then also to think about where it is in your lesson cycle or your lesson plan that you use this as well. And those cards that will come up, and I'll point you to those in a moment, they sort of allow you as a teacher to guide the expedition. You don't have to use them, but it is helpful to have key facts, details, questions you can ask as well. And you'll notice as well that there is the ability to guide as well. So this is a nice way to see where your students are during the tour. And then there's also the pencil where you can highlight any key areas. So I'm going to show you that now. So I'm using Expeditions on my Chromebook now, and you can see here that when I open up the Expeditions app, if you've ever viewed it either on a tablet or on a phone, then it's a very similar experience. It's not any different. You'll notice that across the top here, I do have the ability to switch between augmented reality tours and virtual reality tours. And I've also got some sort of key topic areas that I can go in to explore. And then in the library down the bottom here, this is where all of my downloaded tours will be, and also where my tours are that I create. So this is where those virtual reality tours that I set up earlier will actually start to populate as well. But mine hasn't come through just yet. So I'm going to take you on to explore just a virtual reality tour straight away. So all I'm going to do is jump into virtual reality. And this is just a nice way to sort of experience what content can come up when you explore. And I'm going to go into the Aztec and Mayan ruins. And again, you'll see that you have to download the tour before you actually go in to view it. And you've also got the share icon, and this is how you can share this directly to Google Classroom. So it's just a quick way to be able to share that out. And then you'll see in the bottom here that I can guide it. So if I'm working in a classroom and I have pupils in, this is where I would use the guide option. This then allows you to see where your pupils are. If not, just simply view. And then this expedition will then load up. We'll give it a second. So you can see here that I can then go around and explore. And as I said earlier, you have that fact card down the bottom in the right. And you've also got those questions as well. So this is where you can go in and ask some questions. And you've also got some key points of interest that you can point out and highlight with some extra information there as well. So this is just a nice way to be able to go through and highlight any content that you want your pupils to explore and see as well as they go through. And then I'm just going to jump in very quickly and show you what this looks like in terms of the augmented reality content now. And just fingers crossed this is going to work. We had a few bit of difficulties before. So you'll see here, this is just screen mirror. So this is actually allowing me to screen mirror my phone so that you can see it nice and clearly. So I'm just going to tap on view in AR and just bear with me as I fingers crossed this will actually work. There we go. And you'll see that it comes up in a moment with those dots. And we now have a tornado spinning in my room. And again, you've got all of those information at the bottom here. And you can go through. We can then go in and explore a hurricane. And again, I can pinch to zoom in and explore. And again, you can see that tsunami and you can move through and actually explore what's happening when a tsunami occurs. So it's just that nice way of allowing your pupils to go and explore that augmented reality content. And as I mentioned, you know, with any expedition or tour creator tool that you use, you really want to make sure that you preview the tours first. So if you're creating one in Tour Creator, make sure you have gone through and explored every nook and cranny. I once took my pupils to a tour of Buckingham Palace, and they saw a lady standing in there, and the lesson stopped abruptly because they all thought that I was the lady in Buckingham Palace, and it definitely wasn't me. And, you know, think about the points of interest that you want your pupils to be drawn to. That's a really key thing as you guide through, and also to think about those questions that you're going to ask when you lead it. And as I mentioned, you can share those Google Expeditions directly to Google Classroom as well. So it's just a nice way to give them that direct link so they've got access as well. And as I mentioned earlier, that ability to think about where you use a Google Expedition or a tour creator tool, is it at the beginning? You know, when we as teachers think about planning a trip or a residential somewhere, we always think about when it is that is going to take place and what is the purpose of it. Is it to ignite interest? Is it to provide clarification or deeper understanding, or to apply or extend the learning as well? And I want to point out that there is a list of all of the Google expeditions. So this is a nice way to be able to access all of them. And the reason that I always highlight this spreadsheet is that it's a really quick way to search for content, because whilst you can go into the Google Expeditions app and use the search bar, you have to be quite specific in terms of what it is you're looking for. And sometimes there might be one scene within a tool that suits what you're looking for, but doesn't actually come up when you search. And in here, all you need to do is just a quick, simple Control F, and you will find anything. It could be something that comes up in the description. It could be something that is in the panorama title, so the different scenes within. And you've also got it with any new locations. You can actually, I can see here that they've added South Melbourne Beach. This is Victoria. So it's just nice to be able to have that all linked in directly, and they are separated by the virtual reality and augmented reality trips as well. And I will have to stop there because I know that is my time. So Gitto, I'll just pull you back in if that's all right.
That was fantastic, Rachel. Now I know that when you're presenting, you didn't get a chance to look at the comments on the side. So I'm going to guide you through the questions in a minute, but I think it's worth showing you just what came up when that tornado and hurricane appeared. So I'm just going to quickly run on the screen through what the comment box looked like as soon as that hurricane appeared. So that silly went down well. There's also at the start, when you're going through showing us the South Bank, I think there's a few misty-eyed people thinking back of days when we were able to go out a bit more and travel and see things like that. There's a few questions, if you're okay to help us with answering them.
Definitely.
There's one really interesting one that came when we're looking at Tool Creator is thinking of interior spaces as well. Whether you can either, there's some interior spaces there already, such as museums, or whether you're able to take photos of your own classroom and put them in there.
Yeah, so in terms of sort of interior spaces, if it's, say, for example, a museum or gallery, there are a lot of those that are already within Expedition, so you don't need to go and create them. However, if you're thinking about the classroom, then, you can obviously, if you have that ability to go in and take some photos, you can go and use the Street View app, which allows you to go through and take those images. The only thing that I would say is to be very mindful of that, obviously, any information that is taken in those images, especially if you're using the Street View app, is that they are then public. You can't use the app and then keep that image private. They are actually public. So if you wanted to take images of your classroom, I definitely recommend exploring a 360-degree camera to be able to do that in a secure way.
That's another of my wish list of things to buy, is a 360. Another one from Shannon here. Is there a way of collaborating on Tool Creator like you would in Docs or Slides or so on?
It's not something at the moment. As always, we always say Google are quick to gather feedback and take that on board. So I know it's been something I've been constantly asking for. In terms of this, what I've always sort of recommended is that you set up either a collaborative slides or docs presentation to be able to actually go through, share the content that you want to add in those images directly in there. And then it's just a very simple matter of this is what you need to search for to create the tool. This is the image that you add the overlay, and here's the facts that I want you to put in.
Great. And then one final, you mentioned, obviously, you talk about Street View and what the name of that app is. And when it comes to Google, there's a lot of different apps that involve maps, if I say it that easy. You're talking to Street View. So one question was just asking about the difference between them. So if we guide them through it, and maybe we'll work together a couple of them on just explaining the difference between each one. So starting with Street View, the Street View app is, I guess, just that those cars that go around and being able to see whatever they saw, and that's a specific app. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
And I think I'm right in saying that you can bring your own pictures or see other people's submitted pictures in that as well.
Yes, you can. And it's also where you can take your own 360 Street View image.
So you add them to that, and then you can use them in Tool Creator after.
Yes. Just know that they are then public.
Key points. Best in class.
Definitely.
I guess that's the traditional one, the globe that you can zoom in and zoom out. That's not one that you cover today. I know some schools do use it, but that's not one of the use cases today. So Tool Creator then, explain just quickly, Tool Creator would be for...
So Tool Creator is very similar to the tools you can create in Google Earth. I think it's just that ability to be able to upload your own. So in Google Earth, you can go and create a tool using the same images, but you don't have that virtual reality experience. So you'll have that sort of flyover, but it doesn't sort of allow you to then experience it in the same way or use your own content. So that's been one of the big benefits.
You did the brilliant thing of taking a tool creator and showing that you can take it to expeditions then and show it off in there. If you make a tool creator, do you have to go to expeditions?
No, you don't. So you can export them, and for some reason mine just didn't get into expeditions to actually show you, but usually it will come through and populate in there. But I'm just sort of slow on internet there, so it hasn't populated. But that isn't a really nice way. But again, those tool creator tools can be shared just simply with the link, or you can embed them on a site as well.
Thank you for joining. I know that you're not able to stick with us right till the end today. So massive thanks for making time for your holiday to come join us. If you're not following Rachel on Twitter, you can see her handle on there at TechMissC. Well worth a follow. And I'm sure we'll see you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your holiday and your self-quarantine when you come home.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Before we do go on to our next session with Zaitoon, I am promised to bring Bob back, and I'm going to do so right now. Hello, Bob. How are you?
Hello. Very good. Thank you.
We did have a question that came in just when I said goodbye to you, so I want to bring it back quickly. I did promise Anna Maria that I would. You mentioned the Chromebooks, the top selling, the 511, the 311, and the 314. And now the 511, that's a convertible. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
And then the 311 and 314, the pictures you showed were of clamshells. So the question from Anna Maria is, are those specific ones available as convertibles? And I guess if not, what's the equivalent of them in convertible mode?
Yeah. By the way, it's very easy to see if one of our product is convertible or not, because we are using the word spin to identify the products that are convertible. Anyway, back to the question of Anna Maria, yes, the 311 is also available. There is a spin 311. That is slightly lower specs than the 511. While on the 14 inches at the moment, no, there is no convertible. We haven't seen a huge demand yet on that specific form factor. So the convertible is currently available only on 11 inch or on the 12 inches.
I'd imagine 14 inch gets a bit unwieldy once you have it in tablet mode.
But there is the version with the touch panel. So even though it's not convertible, you still can enjoy the touch panel. Maybe for younger kids that are used to it, or even for teachers, actually could be a good way to have a more interactive experience with the device.
I think actually that's one thing that you and I discussed when we did a summit last month, was that touchscreens become nearly a key feature for most schools now. That it used to be the added extra, but with Android apps being such a big thing on Chromebooks now, touchscreen becomes more and more important. Agree. Yeah. Thanks for bringing you back. I'm sorry, I had not planned.
No problem. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll see you later on. I'm about to bring in Zaitoon, who's going to be our next presenter. One last thank you to Rachel. The comments coming in on the end of her session have been fantastic, and I've learned a lot. I've seen Rachel present on expeditions many times, and I still learn new things every time she's at it. Right now, however, I want to introduce our next speaker. Zaitoon is the SLE in Integrating Technology at Witten Park. I think she's actually frozen just as I was about to bring her in right now. Zaitoon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you, but we can't see you at the moment.
Oh.
We've got a blank screen. Let me just take you off and put you back on.
Okay. No.
We're just hearing you. I'm going to bring your screen because we can see your screen. Okay. Hopefully your camera will kick in for a second, but for now you can be the voice from the sky guiding us through Google site. Is that right?
That's right, yes. Okay.
I did want to chat you. Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I did want to chat to you about how your school looking forward to September, but let's leave that till the end in the hope that your camera will pop back for us by then. For now, though, I'll let you get on straight into your session on virtual learning using Google Sites.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, hi everybody. Apologies, I don't know why the camera's not working. But I'm just going to showcase to you what we have been doing in my school with regards to the use of Google Sites. Now, we've had quite a few different ways to utilize Google Sites, and that's what I'm going to showcase to you today. Okay, so 3 of the main ways that we've been using it is bringing all of our CPL that we have in school together on one platform, so all staff can go back and look at it again, so nothing is lost as time goes by. So we've got a record of everything together. Secondly, we're creating a student learning gateway, so just trying to keep the students engaged whilst they are in and out of school. And finally, I'm going to showcase to you a virtual learning platform and how we can customize it for your subject, and how you can create a virtual learning platform for your lessons, enabling you to do a hybrid or a blended learning sessions with your classes. Okay, so first I want to showcase to you the CPL dashboard. This is our Witton Park Academy dashboard. And what we have here is basically a weekly, an update on a weekly basis of anything that's happening that's new. We have 3 sections within there. We've got teachers, support, and admin. Obviously, in certain aspects, we add in the buttons which are more relevant to each of the group of people who are using it. So we really have tried to incorporate every member of staff within our school, and not just the teachers. But today I'm just going to showcase to you the teaching aspect of it. So within here, we have our new staff induction, all the new videos, everything that the school want to showcase to their new staff has been introduced on here. We have made sure our handbook is available, all digitalized, and then everything in terms of our ethos, appraisals, anything in terms of the reward system, how to use the new interactive whiteboards when they come into a class. Everything is on there, so when our new staff do join us, that they are fully up to date with how we work at Witton Park. So that is one aspect. We then have various things that we are doing within our curriculum. So one of the main focuses is as a teaching body is a book that we've been reading, which is called The Magenta Principles. Now, we didn't just give the staff a book to read and ask them to read it. We really started to utilize that book and dug deeper as to what teachers' thoughts were, and started up a conversation and getting staff to collaborate. So within that, we created podcasts. So we created In Conversation With, and it's a podcast series of a certain chapter that we've asked staff to read, and then we've worked our way through, and we've had a conversation with 2 or 3 key staff, and we've showcased how they can utilize it and how it's affected their teaching. What we were finding before lockdown was that there wasn't a lot of communication going on in between teachers. We were all told to do the same thing, but we weren't ever shown, or we weren't ever had the time to discuss how it's impacting our classrooms and so forth, including things like safeguarding. Now, within Google Site, which is really nice, is that there are certain aspects that you don't want every member of staff to see, or you don't want a certain body of members of staff to see. You are able to create what I call a daughter page. So, for example, the page on extremism is only available for staff at Witton Park Academy. So if anyone outside of Witton Park were to click that, they wouldn't be able to access that information. Whereas every one of these, they can click it and access it. So the way we do that, I will showcase that to you in a little while. It is just creating another site and keeping all your important stuff that are for your school or for your department, even privately. You can keep that to one side. I'll showcase how we can do that. So whilst we were on lockdown, it was very, very important to our school to make sure that the staff were in contact with each other, and that nobody felt lonely, and there was a space for everyone to have a conversation. So we introduced various challenges. We did 30-day set challenge, we did art challenges, to showcase to you some of the stuff that our staff managed to do. We had competitions running throughout lockdown. We showcased it. We put it all onto this website, so every member of staff was able to just scroll down and have a look at how other staff were doing and so forth. We also had a staff quiz every Tuesday evening, and again, with all that, there was various prizes that were available to win, but we recorded each session using Google Meet. We recorded each session, and we were able to just upload it so that staff who couldn't be there were able to watch it back. And it was a nice, when we did see each other going in and out of school, that it was a nice conversation to have at that time. So that's something that we've been putting together in terms of our CPL and how we made sure that everything was on one dashboard, and that anything that needs bringing in, so we're bringing in a new behaviour policy, for example, all the training is on there, followed on by using Google Forms. Once they've completed that training, it automates a certificate for them to say that it's been completed. So we've used Autocrat to automate our certificates using Google Forms as well. So it's all integrated, very nice and neat. So when staff are looking through it, they're not looking through various different emails or any sessions that they've had previously. It's all on one site. So that is how we are using Google Sites as a CPL dashboard across the school for all members of our staff. I'm going to showcase to you now the learning gateway that we are creating for our students. So like with students, we needed to have a way to communicate with students and just to start to put together everything that we want the students to be able to complete and do. And one of our big focuses was over the 6 weeks holidays, just to make sure that the students had something to do in the meantime, and also just to keep in contact with the school. So we created our early promotion website, and we created 6 badges of summer. And again, it was very easy to put together using Google Sites. It's got templates that we can utilize, and we can embed various pictures. These are all pictures that I made on Canva and then just brought it across and put them in. All the challenges are there for the students to see. This is just a Google slide that has been put in and then set to auto run, finishing off with a Google form that the students can upload their picture to of the evidence that they've completed that challenge. So that is our way of just starting to create this dashboard for our students. And we are coming to a point now where we are thinking about September. We are thinking about all the way up to December, to be honest, as to what we are going to expect our year 10s and 11s to be doing. So we're starting to think about study skills, key things that they need to start to look at. And we try to personalize it as much as we can with their teachers, explaining how they can get organized and how to take notes and so forth, and really give that personal touch to it, because with our students, we're in a very deprived area in the Northwest, and with our students, we need to have that personalized touch to a lot of the stuff that we send out to them. So that's our learning gateway. And then finally, just to showcase to you, a virtual learning platform I created for our subjects. So I'm a science teacher, and obviously with being a science teacher, and with many of the subjects, there's many topics, there's many lessons that we need to organize. So what I decided to do was to create this virtual learning platform using Google Sites, where students were able to go in, or where staff were able to put on all their work that they needed for that one subject. So all the subjects would go in there, topics that they would have for that subject. And then each topic would have an overview of the lesson, little screencastify, just personalizing it again. And all the lessons are there. And then for each lesson, any task that needed to be completed would be in each of these tasks. What we have found with this is that it is starting to become our planning tool in a way for our teachers as they start to look towards a more of a hybrid teaching ways. We have to also consider the fact that not all of our students will be back in school come September. So to factor in those students who are not there, just to have a platform in place that will allow them to keep up to date with all the work that has been set. This, alongside Google Classroom, has been working really well so far. So we're hoping that come September, we will be in that position where we can continue to provide a dual way of learning for our students. Just before summer holidays, we created virtual learning timetables for our students, and we were having 70 to 90 students per session per hour attending live lessons where staff were able to use their platform to showcase the lessons and bring it all in one place. So just to showcase to you Google Sites, if you haven't come across it before, you'll find it within your waffle. It's just there. And then if you were to create just a blank one, you could, there's also now actually, just to go back to showcase you that. There is now a template gallery that has been brought in. So if it is a specific type of website you want to create, so for example, a student profile or portfolio even, a class, you got clubs, these are all themes and setups ready for you to use. So you can just go in and just utilize it, put your own information in there. So I'm just going to show you from a blank. Just allowing it to load up. Okay, so just to showcase how simple it is to add and build your website. So themes, again, you have got 4 or 5 different themes that are a Google set theme. You can choose whichever one you want. It has a slightly different text and a look to it. You could change what color you would like and what font size you would like it to be. And then you have got the ability to insert various layouts. And then, for example, if I wanted to insert that, I just click it, it will insert it there for me. And then I can add more information, or I can add pictures from here. I can upload it from my computer, and I can upload it straight from my drive, or I can select an image if I've already got a selection of images that I want to use. I can import a YouTube video, a calendar, maps, and then further down, I can also include many of these things. So if I want to include a Google form that I've already created, I just need to click that and it will allow me to embed that in straight away. If I have another website that I want to embed, I can just click embed and then it will just ask me for the URL. It's as simple as that. You just put in your URL and insert. And then allowing you to build like I've done with the learning virtual learning platform, just to build those pages. You can do one of two things. You can click the little 3 dots next to your home, and you can add a sub page, which will just directly, I'm just going to put number 1 next to it. That will create a little sub page just underneath it. You can then duplicate these pages. So the way I work is I set my theme for 1 page, and then I can just duplicate it many a time. And then I can build and create my website how I want it to look. So simple as that. You can delete your pages as easy as that as well. And if you don't want this little drop-down menu appearing you just hide from navigation, and it will hide all these pages from navigation. And what you'll eventually see is that you won't have, let's get rid of that. You won't have a drop-down menu anymore. So none of my websites here, they haven't got a drop-down menu. They've all got little buttons, and I've created these buttons using Canva. And on Canva, I've created those buttons, put them in, and then just linked in all the different sites, all the different pages as well. So if I was to go back to page 1, so linking it in is, again, really simple. So if I've uploaded something in there, I can link it in. Just see if I can upload something really quickly. So you can upload it from your downloads. It's a new Chromebook I've got just before the holidays, so I've not got much in here that I can upload. So yeah. So there's many things we can do with this. We can title our site, and this site now with Google Sites, you are able to do many things with it in terms of publishing it. We can publish it to just your staff at your school. We can publish it to the public, and we can publish it just to certain people if you just want a certain group of students looking at your website. You can add and share and add collaborators to it. So as you can see, the draft is restricted just to me. And if I wanted to publish it to all the staff members at Whitton Park, they can, with the link, they can access it. Or if I wanted to create it publicly, I can do it publicly. And what I can also do is once I've published it, I am able to add, just go into the settings here. There's a couple of new things that have been added in very recently. One is you can add your Google Analytics to it. If you've got Google Analytics, you can see how much traffic you're coming in and out of your website. An announcement bar. So like I have on my CPL dashboard, just at the top here, it says that episode 6 is now available. That's an announcement bar that I could use and add. Unfortunately, I'm using my school account at the moment, but it normally would allow me just at the bottom here to publish it, and it would take off this sites.google.com, and you can publish it to a website address that you have, a domain that you have purchased, for example. Okay, so that's just a quick whiz tour of how we've been using Google Sites to just as a platform to put all the information in one place for our staff and our students to go back to at their own time. And I think moving forward, a lot of our time that we're going to spend in school addressing teacher training sessions and so forth, and then allow our staff the time to take in that information and process that information instead of taking that time to sit in a hall for 40 minutes listening to somebody. So it's a nice different way of taking things and doing it virtually now. All right, Guto, I think that's my little bit. I still can't get my camera working.
No idea what happened to you. We could see you before we get started, but now you're a wonderful black square looking back at us. We do have some questions, though, so even though we can't see you, I hope you can stick with me for a few minutes to get some questions. And so, come up first, right at the start, you showed the staff, the one for training staff and so on.
Yes.
Did you feel that how did your less confident, let's say, technology staff, were they finding it easy to engage with, or was there a learning barrier to get them used to having a online platform, I guess?
What I tended to do was keep it very, very simple. So, for example, just the first page is just buttons, and then even in each of the buttons, the information that is in there is very, very straightforward, simple to the point. And again, it's just adding in as many buttons that would then lead to the different pages. So it allows the staff to explore in their own time.
And again,
and it gives them that extra bit. Yeah,
it's been built so smoothly by, I'm guessing, yourself or your team, that for staff it's just like going to any website and clicking where they need to, if you would in any other websites.
Yes, exactly that.
There was, I think Mel was talking about how it was great that you can get pictures directly from within Google Sites for your header image and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if they have any restrictions in the search in terms of copyright, or do you have to go and check yourself if the pictures you're using are copyright free, shall we say, or have permission to be used?
So if you are using, if you are embedding using Google Sites itself, and you go through that system, Google will do that search for you. So the pictures that are available to you using any one of the Google apps, even if you're using Google Slides, you will only get a certain amount of images that are available to you. Whereas if you went to your URL at the top, open a new tab and search, you probably get a whole load of different images that you could possibly use.
So just to make sure that if it's a public website, that you look for the picture from within sites, I guess, and not copy and paste from anywhere.
Yeah.
The other one that this came in the private chat between the other presenters in the back, but someone asked that you mentioned using Classroom with the pupils and then having that site's dashboard or whatever you called it. How do you balance how do you decide what goes into Classroom and what goes on a site for the pupils?
So before lockdown, what we were doing, we were using Google Classroom a lot to send out all of our work to students. And what we were finding was, as students were scrolling down or going through the year, a lot of the stream was getting updated constantly, and it was about scrolling back through the Google Classroom to find certain work and so forth. With using the platform, the teachers are planning using the platform. All the work that they want the students to do is on this platform, and using Google Google Classroom, they're just guiding the students to go to that platform to work through that information. And then they're using the Google Classroom as a way to assess the students' understanding. So they might put an assessment piece using Google Forms on the Classroom, or they might do a Kahoot, or they might do use other tools within Google Classroom to get an understanding of the students' knowledge and what they've learned. So this is a way of using that hybrid way of learning or asynchronous way of learning, where you go away and you read up and you learn about something, and then you come back to the Google Classroom and work through a piece of work or a piece of assessment that teachers have left for you.
So you can still set the task in Classroom, but then the link in Classroom takes them to the site and the dashboard on there.
Yes.
I guess that goes part of the way, I guess, to answer Paige's question as well, which is she asked about uploading different assignments and videos for the students. I guess as the person who edits and makes the website, you can put in activities. We saw it in the dashboard. But for people using the website, that's not the space for them to submit their work, is it?
Well, if you add in a Google form and you add in and you allow them to upload a picture or a video, and you can even, I think it's up to a terabyte, they can upload various videos. It's doable, and using Google Forms, that's our way of making sure that evidence comes in. Like, for example, if I show you on the gateway, if I just go down to just one of these, you'll be able to see that at the bottom, students can just upload their evidence, and the evidence is in any format, absolutely any format. I've allowed Google Slides, I've allowed images, I've allowed pictures, videos. It's just there. It's a simple form that they need to fill in.
So if they click on the fill in form, you've got a box of upload file, and as you said, whether it's a picture, a film, as long as it's not a active one. Perfect. And the other question from Paige as well is, obviously, once you publish this, you can always go back and change it and add to it and put new resources on there when you want to, right?
Yeah. Until you are ready to republish your website, whatever you are doing in the background will stay to you. When you are ready to publish, you just publish. Just make sure that all your settings for all your documents, anything that you have uploaded, has the same sharing. I've forgotten the word.
Sharing settings.
Yeah.
Permissions.
Yeah. Sharing settings that everybody can view it. For example, I think that was one of the biggest thing that I could view it because I was creating the website. but whenever somebody else was trying to view it, they were saying, well, it's still restricted. And it's always a really good idea. What I do is I check it against 2 of my accounts, or if I haven't got another account, then I'll get somebody else to just check it for me before I send it out, just to make sure there's nothing there.
Otherwise, your website might be public, but you might be putting a slide on there, and if the slide's not public, nobody can see it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
One last one I just want to show, not a question, but did you ever use classic sites before the new Google sites came along a couple of years ago?
I did. I loved it, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I did.
As a I'm not great at coding, I'm not great at figuring out some things in the back end. My feeling was with Anna Maria that throwing my laptop against the wall came very close using the classic sites, but I'm glad to find people who do love the old one as well.
The reason why I did like it was because you were able to create like a sign-in page per page or something like that, which is something that's not there for the new sites. But if you think about it, Google, when you sign in, generally it allows you, it takes that functionality into that aspect. So yeah, it's a better version.
Over the past year or two, a lot of the features from the old are slowly coming into the new bit by bit. They're clearly working their way to bring a lot of the old functionality over as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Without
overcomplicating things. Just a quick question before we say goodbye and Wendy gets ready to join us. How are things looking at your school for September? What plans have you started putting in place, or what things have you had to consider?
Oh, so much is happening. We're a secondary school. We've got 1,200 students, hopefully all coming back to us in September. What we have done is that we've created bubbles. So per year group, we've got a certain set of teachers who will be teaching within that bubble. Luckily, we've got quite a big school, so we've been allocated a floor each in a way. But in terms of learning and teaching and virtual learning, yeah, we are going to have students who are not going to be present. So we need to, again, address how we are going to organize our teaching and learning. We have enabled all of our teachers to use Screencastify to basically instruct the students as to what they want them to do. And again, I think that is going to be something that we are going to continue into September, even if they're face-to-face, just to have that, all the work to be set on Google Classroom or to be using the virtual learning platforms to make sure that the work is there for everyone, regardless of them being in school and out of school. We are one-to-one with Chromebooks, though, as a school, so all of our students have a device. So it enables that virtual learning to be a little bit more easier for us.
It does make a difference when you know they're going to have a device at home if they need to be at home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I guess it's being ready for that flexibility, I guess, is the main thing. There that we obviously we're expecting to be open for everyone, but who knows what the few months after is going to keep. So having that plan in place, ready to go.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's more love for all sites in the comments, just Jane's a fan as well.
Fab.
Massive thank you for joining us, Zaitoon. I'm so sorry we couldn't see you during it, but your voice was enough to guide us through what we needed to learn. So massive thank you. I'm sure we'll see you again soon. I've put Zaitoon's Twitter on the screen there. Make sure you give her a follow if you don't. And if you hang around, hopefully we can see you at the end for a quick goodbye. But thanks, Zaitoon. I'm about to bring Wendy in a second. Before I do, just a quick reminder of that slide I showed right at the start of the summit, a good hour and a half ago now. If you do want to win a chance to come to a bootcamp or summit for free, be that an online one or an in-person one, once they get started, we host them across many continents, then do fill in that form on gsummit.link/Acer to have a chance to win those free seats. Now, my next guest popping along here is Wendy. Hello, Wendy. How are you?
Hello, Guido. I'm very fine, thank you. Hope you all are too.
Wendy is a Google certified trainer and innovator who does a lot of presenting on behalf of AppsEvents. You've been doing a lot from that room virtually over the past few months, Wendy.
Absolutely, yes, for AppsEvents, and I've been working with just doing some coaching for teachers. I've got a lot of friends that are teachers that have not necessarily been technology minded, so I've been doing a lot of coaching to bring up some skills in those teachers that really needed help at the beginning.
And that a mix of that one-to-one coaching and large group training, that's your background, right? So you used to do quite a lot of coaching at your old school before you came out into the world to do training as your full-time work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a learning technology trainer for about 17 or 18 years and left my college 4 weeks before the lockdown. So a great time for me to be set free in the world, maybe not such a great time for my college. But that's how the world, the cookie crumbles, really, isn't it?
Yes. And you're going to talk to us a bit about, I think your words were fast, fun, formative, and free assessments. Is that right?
Absolutely. So the session I'm going to talk about is Quizlet and how you differentiate with the simplest possible way with Quizlet and Classroom.
I'm going to leave you to it. Just as with Rachel, Zaitoon, and Bob, if anyone has questions for Wendy, please do put them in the chat. And Wendy, I'll see you at the end of your session so we can bring those questions up and have another conversation. But over to you.
Okay, so as I said, I'm going to look at Quizlet and Google Classroom. Now, Quizlet's been around a long time, but they've been developing this software over a number of years. And I think, I've used it for at least the last 8 or 9 years, maybe even longer. But it's one of these ones I always bring teachers back to when they're really nervous about using technology or they're really short of time, because you can do so much with it in just a short time. Now, really, to do something in Quizlet, all you need are 6 keywords. That's it, nothing else. You don't need to write the questions. You don't even have to have the definitions for those keywords. But it's all about testing vocabulary, and it's a way of giving students a revision app that they can go back and test that they've understood concepts. And that's why I love it so much, the fact that it's fast, free, formative, and it's a little bit fun. They've added some stuff to it. So I'm going to just go through and show you how quickly I can make a Quizlet set without rushing. I'm just going to go through it nice and steadily, and you can answer the questions on the chat if you like, and I can answer them at the end. Now, the main thing to know about Quizlet is that there is a free version and there's a paid version, like many of the apps that we use today, many of the websites. But what I love about Quizlet is they're always adding ways of you trying out the new stuff. So there is a refer a teacher, and this replace something else they had, and this only appeared last week, or I noticed it last week. But you can actually go into refer a teacher, and if you've got an account and you've signed up at Quizlet.com, you can sign up with any email account. You can actually then get a code to invite other people to join Quizlet. So if you're working in an organization, nobody's using this, be one of the first people to send this out to lots of other people, this join code, because what it will give you is 30 days access to the premium content. So that gives you a chance to explore more as you get used to using Quizlet. And I think that's a really nice way of doing it. The more you share, the more you get back. So let's have a look at how we create a Quizlet. So I've just logged in. I'm going to click on create, and I'm going to choose sets, because we always talk about sets, learning sets. That's what you're doing. You're creating sets of flashcards and ways of students learning. And like anything, you give it a name. So just for today, mine's going to be states of matter. So I'm going to look at it as a primary resource, and I'll scroll down a little bit. And you'll notice that if I've already got a set of words in Word, Excel, Google Docs, etc., I can actually import those words from there. But I want to show you the long way round, because I want to show you how quick and easy it is to do. First of all, you can change your visibility. So it does automatically default to visible to everyone, and also to only editable by me. But I can change those options, and I can make it editable by users with a password, or I can share out to my collaborators later on. Now I'm going to ignore this top one here, because this is one of the premium features. And although I can do it at the moment, if you're signing up from new, you won't have access to this. When you click on it, it'll just tell you this is part of the paid version. So you might spot some things that I don't go through, because I'm only showing you the free stuff first of all, because I think that's enough for people to get started. So really, this is where you want to look. We've got number 1 here, and when I scroll down, you've got 5 areas where you can type stuff, and you've got add a card. So these are actually the learning set cards that you're creating. And this is why I'm saying it's so easy to create, because all I'm going to put in is a couple of words, and I'm going to choose 6. And I'll come back to why I'm doing 6 in a moment. So I'm going to put the word solid, and I'm going to choose the term from the list that comes up, and I'm going to make sure I choose my language. So first of all, I'm an English speaker and my students are English speaking, so I've chosen English as my language. And then what you can see here is if I click in definition, I don't even need to write my own definition. So I can look at the word solid, and I can look at a state of matter that has a definite shape and definite volume. That looks perfect to me. But if I didn't want to have it exactly like that, I can actually go in and edit it. I don't want to edit it. It's perfect for me. That's the one I want to choose. And also, part of the free version, I can also go in and click on image, and you'll notice there's a free set of images. It's not very vast, there's not hundreds of images in there, but the images that are in there are all copyright free, as in most of the things that we use. So if we click on that one, I know quite safely that I can add that image to my revision cards, and I know I'm not breaking any copyright. Okay, so fair use for everyone. I can actually go in, I'm not going to show you all this, but I've got bold, underline, italic. This was stuff that was all added just very recently, and I can put some colours in. And if you sign up for the premium version, you can also add voice recordings. Again, I could do this because I've got the premium version because I invited people, but I'm not going to demonstrate that. I'll just mention it because it is on the premium. Okay, if I scroll down, I'm just going to repeat that for a few words. And as I said, I'm going to put in just 6 words. So I'm going to go into gas, and I'm going to put my definitions in. I'm going to put liquid, put a definition in, and you can see it's really nice. I would take a little bit more time and put my images in if I wanted to, but I might put vaporization, put my definition. Last couple coming up. And then once I get to 5, what you'll notice is I do have to add another card. So I can add more, I can add many more, but the first 5 are just shown. So what's the last one to do? Temperature, I think. Ooh, I might even type that right. You never know. I often type wrong when I'm being watched. And there's my 6 things. So really, I've done all the work I need to do now. That's it. I just typed 6 words in and maybe added an image and chose from something that was already there. Now, if I wanted to and I had my own definitions, of course you can put those in. But this is me looking at how teachers can save time, because another teacher has written that. They're not just a student that's put it in. They've picked the best ones from a number of things that people have used. So they've given you some choices of the best ones they think match. And then I simply click on create. It takes a couple of seconds and that's it. That's my learning set quickly. And I like that. It gives me a thumbs up and it says, you know, this is a nice set. Would you like to share it? So I could share it by email to somebody, but that's not what I'm going to do at the moment. Or I could copy the link and I can send out that whole learning set to somebody. Or I can set and share the whole thing to Google Classroom or on Firefly here. But I'm just going to close that down for a minute because I want to show you really what we've created. Now, simply what I've got here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I told you 7 in the write-up. There's actually 8 ways of testing your students or giving your students something to revise from. Now, this is the flashcard. This is the equivalent of the paper flashcard that people use to revise for their exams. You click on it and it tells you what the answer to that is. So it's a way of students going through to the next card, clicking on gas, it gives them that. So they're just learning the vocabulary, they're learning the words, they're learning the meanings. That's the first thing that you've got. And what I want you to notice at the top here, every time I click on a different type of learning, I get a different URL. So this is going to be important for us later. If I click on the Learn feature, the Learn feature looks like this. And it's now a sort of multiple choice, and it's asking me which one of these is the right answer. So I'll just click on one of them and show you what comes up. So, oh dear, I've got that one wrong. And it's telling me, study this one. You haven't learned this one yet. The correct answer is liquid. Okay, it's giving me the answer. And I like the fact that I can listen too.
A state of matter that has no definite shape but has a definite volume.
I really like that. I like the fact that I can let it read to me so I can take that in a little bit easier. And I can click on any key here to continue, and I can go through and just answer a few questions. I got that one right. That was a lucky guess. So I'm not actually reading it, but I wanted you to see what's happening on the left-hand side here. So it's telling me I've got 5 words remaining. And because I got one of them right, it's telling me I was familiar with one of those words. And it's not until I get it right a couple of times that it will actually tell me that I've mastered it. So that's really important to see that the students are getting some guidance as they go through. But you as a teacher haven't had to do that. I can click on the options and I can choose to do different things here. So if I've starred any, and I'll come back to that star later, I can just choose to study the words that I starred out of that set. And I can also change whether I'm answering with a term or a definition. Okay, so answering with a definition on some of them is a lot more difficult. If you've got a long definition, the student wouldn't know what you've typed exactly. So really keeping it with the term as the answer is actually the best choice here. Okay, so we've gone through the learn. I'll go back to the study set. Let's have a look at write. This is where I'm saying the differentiation comes in. Oops, sorry, clicked on the wrong thing. If I click on write here now, what you can see here again is that I now have to type the answer. So a change of state from a liquid to a gas. So that might be, oh, not that one. Vaporization, and I can click on the answer and see if I got it right. And again, I've got the remaining incorrect and correct answers. So it's building up a profile of how much I've learned. That's the right option. Some of the options I won't go into because they're very similar. But this is one I really love. Notice here, it's told me I didn't finish that, 17% finishes. So it's given me an option to go back and look at that. It's telling me. I love this one because I get to type what I hear. This is a way you can help your student with their spelling.
Solid.
Solid. So I'm just being expected to type that one word. And it gives me all my options here again. If I click on options under here, you'll notice again I can answer with a definition. But if the student were being expected to type that whole definition, that would be pretty difficult because they'd have to remember it. And you can do the exact answer or one answer here, and you can have the audio on or off. So if you don't want the students to be able to listen to that, I'm not sure why you would not want the audio on, but I love it there. You can actually turn it off, and you can reset it. You can reset their progress as well to go back and start again. So if they particularly started off badly and they didn't really want that looking at them, they can go back and change it. Now, I like the test as well. The test is a really good feature because the test actually gives me different types of questions. Now, I've got the written questions here, and I've got matching questions and multiple choice. They're the 3 sorts of types of questions come up. And again, it's made this from those 6 words that I put in. There's no writing by the teacher here. But this is really funny. This is something that sort of changed my mind the other day. I was working with a group of teachers just 2 nights ago. And I said to them, I usually go in and take out the matching questions. I don't actually like the way this works because I can't pick up and drag it in. I've got to look and go, which one is vaporization? It might be A, and I've got to type it in. And I just said to them, well, usually what I do is I go into options and I take out the matching exercises because personally, I don't like them. And it wasn't until that moment when one of the teachers said, yeah, but I'm working on a really old laptop that's got a really bad touchpad and I'm struggling to drag and drop. So actually, I really like that feature that I can type it in. And it suddenly twigged, yeah, of course, some people are not so good at that drag and drop. So she liked that, and we carried on and left the matching activities in there. But you can see that we've got multiple choice questions. And you can see that we've got true and false questions as well. And the students, like any other quiz maker, can check it, and it will tell them if they've got it right here as well. So again, something like that, I got 0% there as a grade. But if you are back in the class, another option, not something I'm sort of saying you should do, but if your tech goes down, there is an option to print the test. Whether you like that or not, it's there. But obviously, we don't want that at this point in time. We're using the online versions, but there is an option, and some people like that when they're in the classroom to have that choice. And they're the sort of 5 study areas that you've got. And then after that, you get to play some games. So you've got a matching exercise here. And the matching exercise is a game, which when they start, what they have to do is to pick up words or the definitions and pop them on top of the other thing. And then what they can do is, if they're right, they'll disappear. And if they're not right, they won't disappear. And what I tend to do with that, it will record my time. If I was to go through and actually finish that activity, it will record the time that I finished, and it will tell me I'm in first place. And as a teacher, I can go in and see who got what point, what score for all of their tests. But the way I like to use that is as a teacher, when I've used this with my students, and I'm talking about doing this with adult learners, I've always gone in and I've done the answers really slowly. And then I put out a challenge to my teachers, who are my learners, and say to them, hi guys, I've just done the matching quiz and just want to boast a little bit. I've just done this in 30 seconds. I bet you can't beat me. And of course they all beat me because they want to, because I'm the teacher. And I love that, the fact that if somebody's got a first place, they then want to go back in and do it again to beat their friend. And that happens with adults and youngsters too. The gravity one I'm not so keen on, but again, there's choice there. You can do what you like with it. When we click on this one, again, you can choose whether you've used the all or starred, and we'll come back to that. And again, always important to use this term that you're answering with. But I like this one because it says you can change the difficulty level. So let's go on this one, you'll see why I'm typing the term. So what comes down is a little asteroid, and it says, what's this one? What's the change of state from a gas to a liquid? So I think that's condensation. And if I type it right, I get to enter it and I get a score for it. And if I don't get it right, it doesn't stop the game. It just carries on anyway, and it gives me a score, but it reminds me and gives me a chance to do it again. But look, what if I was trying to type that whole thing? That'd just be ridiculous. That's why we're telling it, but we want to answer with the term. So they are most of the things that I wanted to show you. I'm going to go back out again. I still haven't quite finished yet, but I want to go back to this bit. We've said that these are all the differentiator activities, but I want to link this into Google Classroom. Now, remember, each of these, when I click of them, have got their own URL, okay? So every single one's got its own URL. So I'm going to think about my spell test here. I'm going to think about my one particular student that I think really struggles with their spelling and could do with some help learning that. Now, what I've used in the past is an extension called Share to Classroom, but I've read that it's actually being depreciated. So I'm not sure whether something's going to replace that. Maybe someone can pop that in the chat if they already know that, haven't looked. But I'll show you both ways that you can push this to your Google Classroom. This is the way I would have done it originally. I would click on Share to Classroom. It's telling me on the 15th of August that it's being discontinued. And then I get the option, because I've got 2 science classes here, I can choose which I'm going to do, and I can then push this out to my students directly to that group of students, okay? And with science class 2, what I'm going to do is, instead of pushing it to the students, this time I'm going to create an assignment to it. So the first one, the push, would have just done a link for my students to access, but this one's actually creating an assignment. Now, the reason I like this one, and I'm going to call it just spell test for ease here. If I now go into this one, I can actually, instead of pushing it to more than one class, which I could do, I could actually push it out to both classes at the same time. But if I do that, I can't then choose which individual students to push it to. So I'm going to just give it to the one class at a time, because what I want to do is look at this class 1. That's where I've got my students. Okay, let's come back in again. Let's put it into class 2. And if I look at all my students, I can see that I've got some people in here, and I can actually take it off for one student, and then I can click on assign, and I can assign that particular activity just to one student. And that's a great feature, because when I go through and I want to look at giving the spelling test to some of my students, and I want to give the flashcards to others, Each of them will have an activity on their Google Classroom. They'll each know they're going to Google, but they won't know that each of them have got a different activity because they will all only see the one that I've assigned to them. So once I assign that to them, it goes to that individual or group of individuals that I've chosen. So let's have a look at how I would do that without the extension, because if the extension's not there and there's nothing to replace it, and I'm sure there is, let's have a look at how we would do this slightly round the longer way. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to this time find my test, which is probably the most difficult part of the Quizlet. It's the way that tests everything in different ways. And this time I'm just going to pick it up from the URL. So I'm actually going to copy the URL this time. And I've got Google Classroom open just here. And here's a classroom that I've just set up really basically. I've got my check-in, I've got my week beginning, I've got an interactive notebook and a poster they're going to create. And I'm now going to just create an assignment. And again, it's going to be a test for my students. I would put some instructions in where I'm not doing this as a quick demo. And again, in this one, I'm going to choose just my science class 1. Because I selected just the one class, again, I can now look at my students, and 2 of those, in fact, all of those are me, but you get the idea. I'm now going to take off all of my students, and I know this particular student is the bright student. That's me. Now I'm going to put it on this one because that's not me. That's probably more true. I'm going to put it on the Applied Digital Skills one, which is just an account that's been joined onto this. And I can now assign that to that one student. Or if I want to give it to 2 different students, I can also do that. But I'm not going to give it to this one because this person is going to do their spelling test. And now I'm quickly going to assign, oops, I didn't paste that in. That was very silly. Is it stopped? Let me see. I'm going to click on add. Sorry, I forgot that I wasn't doing it through the extension. Click on link, paste my Quizlet link in, add the link. And luckily it didn't assign for me. Otherwise I'd have had to go and edit it. And I can assign that, and that will give that to my 2 students now that I've decided that need those particular pieces of work. Okay, so my assignment has been created. It's up here. Doesn't matter. I can drag it in where I actually want it. And if I click on it, what you should see is that I've assigned it to the 2 students rather than the 3 that are in there. And that's something I really love about Google Classroom, the fact that if I don't assign it to everybody, I can see that and I can be reminded that actually that's not a whole class activity that I'm looking at. So really, I just wanted to show you how they link together, how I can push individual work out through Quizlet created very simply with those keywords into Google Classroom, and it's a complete activity. But let's just come back to Quizlet just for now. And a little while ago, possibly a year or so ago, they added this live game, and Quizlet never used to be anything that you could do like that. But over the lockdown, a lot of people have been using this. So I'm just going to click on live and show you how that works with your students. And you get to put people in teams. Obviously, that's easier if you're in the same place, but we can click on individuals. And again, you get to choose whether the answers are in the term or in the definition. And I choose this one usually 99% of the time. And you can also, once you've selected it, turn the music off. It's just decided it's frozen on me. Okay. I don't know why that's frozen. It's gone a bit weird. Okay, let's come out of that and try again. Don't like the music playing over me. I was going to turn that off as soon as I get into it. I'd like to be able to turn it off before you get into it, but it's not letting me. It doesn't let you do that. But for some reason, it wasn't letting me make that into a quiz that time. Oh, okay, that side went into it. Let's just see if I can get it back where I wanted to. Sorry about that glitch. So I'm going back into the live again. I'm going back into individuals. That's where I wanted. I think it's just glitched a little bit. I'm choosing, okay. And now I can go into my options, turn that annoying music off. There you go. It was just running slowly, sorry. And this is a really easy way to work with your students and get some interactivity when you are working with students remotely or in the classroom. But remotely works really well. So all the students need to do is either you can copy the game link and you can push that out through Google Classroom, or like I'm going to do just now, I'm just going to pop the code in on 2 different accounts here. I've just got them open on another screen. I'm not looking away because I'm ignoring anyone. I'm just typing something in the screen. I'm going to continue that one, and I'm going to put my name in here. Student 1, you'll see it in a second. It will come up, and then I'll do the same on my phone. So this is a good way of testing that things work as well when you're doing stuff. Student 2. Okay, so you've seen that I've joined as student 1 and student 2 down the bottom here. And all I need to do as a teacher then, once I've seen all my students have joined my class, is quickly click on create game with 2 players, and they then became anonymized. So they get given a name. And thank you if somebody else has joined as well. Thanks for that. I'm happy for you to do that. And once you start the game, what I love about it is what the teachers see once I start the game is the student progress. So this is what I'm seeing as a teacher, but what the students are actually seeing is the actual questions on their phone, and so it's 2 completely separate views. And when a teacher was asking me the other day, but when I'm playing this and the game starts, I can't actually see what question my students are on because the game's just playing. So you're either in teacher or student mode. So what I tend to do is join as a student as well, so I can see where we're up to. So really, we've entered that. All I would need to do now is just, this is glitched again. I'm really sorry. This is really a nuisance when it does that. Is answer the questions. I'm starting to answer the questions. You can see that. And it's going through giving me different questions, and I can just answer them. I'm not going to play the whole game, but you'll see my progress. And what the students are seeing at the same time is they're being told as they answer the questions whether they've got it right or wrong. And you're seeing me playing the game. I'm not actually reading the questions. I just want you to see it. Oops, wrong answer again. It's giving me the right answer again. It's given me 3 seconds to go into a new question. I'll get one right this one. And you can see I've got a match. So the students get a really lively game, and the teachers get to see the progress. And at the end of it, how I've gone right through the game, you would see a scoreboard right at the end there. So that's Quizlet Live. Really, that's everything I wanted to show you in this session. What I'm hoping you've got out of it is that, actually, I'm going to show you one more thing. Sorry, Gitto. I'm going to show you.
I'll sit and enjoy.
What I wanted you to think about is that you can create content that's really rich for your students, that takes no time at all. In the time I've done this demonstration, I could have created 10 of these and created some really nice content that are very individual. But the very last thing I will just show you, because actually it's really useful, is the search feature at the top here, because I've shown you how to create your own ones. But what if I wanted to find something that already existed? Let's just type in Google. I know there's a few terms around Google here that have already been created. If I actually click on one of these, it brings me into being able to use this with my own students and create a live game with that. But what I love even more about it is the fact that I can customize it. So if I see that there's a spelling mistake on it, or I think there's something that's out of date, so maybe they've got something on there, I don't know, they might have something on there that's about an app that no longer exists. They may have Google Plus on there that we don't use so much at the moment. I can actually take that term out and create my own brand new study set from somebody else's. So that's even quicker. I don't even have to type the words. I've just got to go through and use it. That's definitely everything I wanted to show you. I hope that's given you a little bit of why I'm passionate about Quizlet. Even though it's been around for a long time, I think that's a positive. It means that they're still developing it. It means it's good because it survived the test of time. Thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Quizlet's not one that I've used myself, so it's really interesting to see, actually. You have 3 or 4 questions that's come in the chat. To be fair, there's been people in the chat trying to answer them for you on your behalf. So a few of them we can skip. However, if you're okay, can I bring a couple to your attention?
Yeah.
Melissa asked first. Obviously, Quizlet uses that word term. Is it possible to bring more than just a word in? For example, she's thinking about a quotation, say different Shakespeare quotations, and then they have to match them to the right play, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as, if you had a little quotation on the right-hand side, that's the important bit, quotation on the right-hand side, and then put the actual play it came from could be on the left-hand side. That's also a matching game. You can actually do it with maths as well. But again, you would have to put something like an equation on the right-hand side and the answer on the left. So that becomes a term. The answer becomes a term. So there are websites out there. If you go onto the Quizlet website, it will show you how to use it with different subject areas. But maths, definitely, as long as you put the short answer on the left-hand side and it's consistent like that, it will work for most subjects.
Great. Then we had Dee Dee asking, I'm not sure if there's something we come across, but is it possible to upload words instead of doing them one by one? Is there any?
Right at the beginning, I think right at the beginning, I showed you as you put your title in for your set, underneath it, the very next thing says upload from Word, Google. You can upload it from lots of different sources. Yes, that's there. So if you've got a whole lot already, you can just upload it.
And then Paige asking, who chooses the activity they do? Do you set the activity or can they choose and do them all?
So if you just send out the main link to the set, it will take you straight to the flashcards first of all. And then on the left-hand side, the students can choose and you can give them free choice. But if you want to direct it, you can take the URL to an individual subject and push it out, an individual part of the set, and push it out to your group. But they still have access to all of them. It doesn't block off access. It just means you set the focus as the first one that comes up.
Great. And then this question got a few people liking it as well and asking the same. Could you do this live over Zoom or Meet or whatever schools are using?
Could I do Quizlet live or something like that? Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
I guess you did it there in a way. You showed the code and one of the viewers joined in, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what it works well with. I've been doing that quite a lot with teachers. Yes, and somebody was talking earlier on Twitter about finding ways of engaging with their students during an assembly. So they were talking about Kahoot, but this would work just as well.
I guess anything that you can show on a big screen in class, you can also do live by sharing your screen.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
And then one more question actually came in from Rob from Acer, who's still with us watching. He's asking, is there any specific age group that you would aim Quizlet at, or do you think it's something that can be used across ages?
No, not really. It depends on how you organize it. So I've used this with primary school children. It works really well with that for learning keywords. You can use it for GCSE because you can put the harder vocabulary in that they need for their particular subjects. I've used it in FE colleges where we're looking at vocational vocabulary. And I've used it also in teacher training when I've been looking at things like Maslow. So it really depends on what you want to put as your, I would put a theory on the right-hand side and I'd put who was the theorist on the left. So that was working with HE level students, but keeping it simple and short. I think, if I was doing 50 of them and they had to go through and do 50, they'd get, bored rigid. But if I do 5 or 6, that's enough just to remind them of a couple of things very quickly, but without losing that interest waning.
I guess it works well as a starter or as a finisher, I guess, to see what I remember from the previous session.
Yeah, definitely.
And then one comment from Ralph just saying that for anyone, isn't it, if you ever need to get in touch with Quizlet support, he says they're really friendly, very understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been really supportive.
So thank you, Wendy, once again for joining us. I'm sure we're going to see you again very soon. I feel like I'm bumping into you online in sessions pretty much every week at the moment, Wendy.
Yeah, take care then. Bye.
Ta-da. Now, if I just about to bring in our last speaker for the day. So let me just find Jon Neale. Hello, John. How are you?
Good afternoon. And what a casual pose you caught me in there.
Oh, it wasn't posed at all, John.
No,
I was just shooting you from afar.
I was just relaxing at bet, probably.
Anyone who doesn't know John, he is the digital learning leader at Halcyon London International School, also a Google trainer and innovator who I'm sure the vast majority of you have come across in sessions over the years.
Apologies.
John, I think I'm right to say that you were at my very first ever AppsEvents session. And
I think I can remember that well, Gitto.
And my first ever AppsEvents Summit was actually sharing a room with you.
Yeah, there we go.
Unfortunately, remember that as well. If you've ever seen John at a in-person summit, he'll usually hit you with sessions of, is it 30 tips in 1 hour you're doing the live sessions, John?
I think there might be a few more than that. To be honest,
You're up to 40, 50 now,
there is some variance. It's kind of like, I think there's about 30 planned, but sometimes my mind and G Suite just have me going off on all sorts of tangents. I'm sure much to the annoyance of people that are in the room.
No, I'm sure not. John's the master of throwing a million different ideas at you in 1 hour, and so many of them hit home well. You're doing something similar today. I think that your sessions to give us a lot of different ideas of things within G Suite that even those of us who use it daily might not have come across.
That's right, yeah. I think that to be honest, that probably for the veteran users amongst us, and I've seen a few in the chat there, I think that probably most of them will be known, but I guess there's nothing wrong with a refresher. But I've tried to throw in 1 or 2 other things that perhaps would be used in a slightly different way to that which you might use them normally. So hopefully there'll be something for everyone.
Great. And as a digital learning leader, have you, I'm guessing, had a lot of conversations recently about planning for September and things that you've had to think about? How's that been going? Yeah,
that's right. So, I mean, I would say that planning started pretty early. And we actually, with our new colleagues, we go back middle of August. So I'm actually having my first sessions with them at the 11th and 12th of August. And that's because we're a Google reference school, and we're also we're fortunate enough to be a one-to-one device. So what we try to make sure is that any new member of staff joining us, they don't have to be a teacher, any new member of staff joining us, I actually send out a Google form to them, and just to do like a skills audit, so I can best tailor not only those first couple of days of training, but training and the way that I can support them throughout the school year.
Great. You've just triggered my Google Home there by saying the word Google one too many times.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll let you get started. I'm quite looking forward to seeing what tips you've got us for today. And I'll see you at the end for a chat as well, John.
Cheers, Gito. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be going through a few of my favorite ways that we as a school have been using G Suite for this rather unique back to school 2020.
Sorry, John, if I can just interrupt you for 1 second. Just the microphone's a bit low. If you could just raise your voice a little, that would help out.
Okay. If it falls at all at any point during this, Gito, please just give me a shout and I will raise my voice. So yeah, we are going to go through today 4 ways in which myself and my colleagues at Halcyon have been using G Suite and some of the tools of G Suite to prepare for this rather unique forthcoming academic year 2020-2021. But there are a few things that we are doing, which, as I said, because we try and get our training in early so we can make sure that we upskill staff as much as possible for the start of the year. There are some things that we're doing this year that are basically just the same as we've done before. And actually, one of those is Google Forms. And the reason I wanted to pause on this template gallery is that when we launch into a new file within G Suite, so it doesn't matter if it's docs or sheets or in this case forms, I think that we very quickly just click on new and we just get that nice blank document that we can start to build upon. But if time's perhaps a bit of a premium and you're in a bit of a pinch there, I would really recommend utilizing the template gallery. You can see here, this is the template gallery for Google Forms, but you get much the same thing across G Suite. And as I say, that's something just to delve into, possibly not for now, but as you go into next year, there are some really good templates there that you would like to use. So I mentioned that we do a digital skills audit for every member of staff joining the school. But we also do that for every member of the school's community. So this one here that I've got on my screen is actually for our students. And this isn't actually for new students. This is for students that are transitioning from, we're an international school, so transitioning from the middle years program to the diploma. So at British School, that would be from GCSE through to your A levels. And it's a really effective way of gathering all this information. And I'm about to show you, all the information just feeds really nicely into Google Sheets. And we also do this for parents and the wider community as well. So that means that when I'm running sessions for parents, as I do, to try to make sure that they understand that we're not only using digital tools because they do things quickly and they obviously save on paper, but they're always used with a purpose. So bringing parents in and using Google Forms to get an idea about where they are really helps me as a digital lead. So I'm going to jump into this spreadsheet. So this Google form is linked to this sheet here. And this is actually filled in students from my school, but you'll see that I've hidden their names there. And what I like to do with Google Forms is to set up a couple of things. So in this case, you'll see here that I'm using conditional formatting. And I've set up, if anyone feels they are super confident, then I've just set up that to automatically highlight that cell as green. To use conditional formatting, so you can jump in, and I'm just going to go conditional formatting, and I get this little sidebar up here to the right. And I'm going to go ahead and add another rule. And what I'd like to make sure here is I capture anyone who has never heard of a tool, so I can really, feed into that and maybe run a couple of sessions for those students. So I'm just going to change it, and I'm going to put text contains, and the word I'm going to use is never. And then by that, and I realize there that for those of you that are paying close attention, I do like to throw in a deliberate mistake or two. So I'm going to highlight the whole sheet, and I'm going to add my rule. So I'm just going to go for text contains, and the word is never. And from that, I'm then going to switch the format to a bit of a shade of red. And you'll see there that very quickly now that I can see that the tools that that my students have a confidence in, but also maybe those tools that I need to focus that little bit more instruction at the start of the year. And by the way, I should say that whenever we look at new tools or upskilling students, we always try to make sure that they're taught within a context of a lesson. So they're shared within a context of something going on in their curriculum. Very rarely, although it does happen, but very rarely would I have like, this is a session on Google Slides. It would be like going into a class to work alongside the students and the teacher using Google Slides, but in the context of what they're doing as a class. One thing which I really like about Sheets, is if you've got rows and rows and rows of data, so we're talking like coming off your Sims and you've got lots of student data, a really nice thing to use is the Explore tool. So the Explore tool runs across G Suite, and I'm sure some of you are very familiar with it. But essentially what it does is you can ask a question of your data using natural language. Okay, so let's say, for example, here, I'd like to find out the percentage of students that use Chrome as their primary browser. So if I knew the formula for writing this, then I could do that, but I don't. If you know the formula, you're a better person than I. So I can just type in here, and I can go ahead and type in, so percentage Chrome in, and I could type out the whole of that column heading, or I could just put in, as you can see there, it's suggesting it for me, column D. And very, very quickly, what it's done is it's taken my question, so natural language question, and it's converted it into this formula. As I say, I know Gitto is a formula expert, and probably would have written that just as quickly as it took me to type in those 5 words, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words at the top. And then I've got my answer there, so 92%, and I can then just drag that on. That's now on my spreadsheet. And that's really nice for us as teachers, but it's also one of those things as well that really helps to get any of your colleagues that are on the admin side of things really on board with using G Suite and getting things done much more efficiently. Okay, so we're going to jump on now to using Google Slides. Google Slides is one of my favorite tools across G Suite. It really is so much more than a brilliant presentation tool. And I'm just going to show you here, this is the kind of thing that you might like to do with perhaps a tutor group or even with your new members of staff that are joining you. So I've got a very basic template here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fun fact in. So I'm going to put my name here is Jon Neale, and my fun fact is my commute is 2.5 hours each way. Fun / rather sad fact. But I've also got here, I've got this, what I've done on the right is I had a text box, I took an image of it, and that allows me now, once I've brought it back into my slide deck, to just click on it, and you'll notice here that I can replace the image. I'm working on a Chromebook here, but it would work just as well on other devices too. I could go to camera, and you'll see here, so welcome to my office / small bedroom, and I could just take a picture. So I'm just going to go, there we go, what a great snap that is. And that's going to go in, and now I've got my selfie has gone straight onto the slides. And of course, I could do exactly the same with my thing with my students, and you could see very quickly how a nice slide deck of names and fun facts and pictures would populate and be a nice resource, and the kind of thing that you can always come back to. When you're using slides as well, really important to you get that kind of default theme, so nice blank theme that you get at the start. I'd really encourage you to look at different themes available. As I mentioned, just like with forms, there are templates, and you can also go on sites like Slides Mania, which have wonderful templates out there for you to use, but they're pretty good as well, the themes within Slides. I could choose something like this, and what that's going to do, just at a touch of a button, is it's going to change my whole slide deck. So it looks like that. Now, anyone that knows me knows that I really like presentations to look good. I don't like lots of words. I like things to be quite simple and clear. And one of my favorite tools for doing that is actually using an add-on, Unsplash Images. So I've got this add-on pre-installed, but very easy for you to do. You just go to add-ons and you can go to get add-ons. I'm going to insert an Unsplash photo. And the beauty about using Unsplash photo is, just you can see at the bottom, every Unsplash photo is high resolution and completely free to use for commercial and personal purposes. I could type in something like hello. I could find an image that I want to use, and that will then bring it over my slide. And that slightly obscured the words that I had there, the name of my mentor group. But using the Explore tool in Slides, it then takes the content, so whatever I have on that slide, it gives me lots of nice professional looking slide aesthetics. I'm just going to go for this one here, because as I said at the start, I like things nice and simple. Okay, so that was just using Slides as like a getting to know you slide deck, but also changing themes, and we looked at the Unsplash add-on and then the Explore tool. What I'd like to jump onto now is Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is most commonly used for classes. So we would have it for different classes, pushing out different pieces of work, assignments, and the like. But something that we've actually found really useful, so this is something we've been doing for a while, but it was also really valuable for us as a tool during lockdown, is having a staff Google Classroom in which myself and one or two other colleagues were sharing content for other staff to engage with, just to make sure that we were keeping on top of things, and also because it was quite fun as well to have it as like a social space. One thing with Google Classroom that I would always suggest that you think about, although not everyone wants to do this, is you'll notice that when you start posting assignments, so you can see I've got some assignments there that have gone onto my Classroom stream, the stream can get rather cluttered. So something that I like to do is go to my class settings and actually to hide notifications. There's a relatively new addition to that where you can actually show attachments and the details. So in effect, everything can be accessed from the stream. But I'm just going to go to hide, and we'll show you what a difference that makes. And it just makes the Classroom stream. So for this Staff PD 2020, you'll notice that it's now there, and I can have a nice kind of social conversation, in this case with my colleagues, but it could be with your students as well. So jumping into classwork here, and this will be very familiar to all of us that have used Google Classroom. Just in case you haven't used Google Classroom too much before, then you can actually, you don't have to push out all of your posts live. You can do things like save them as drafts, as in this case here. This is actually a question as well. So this is just something which adds another layer of the way that you can get your students to interact with what you as a teacher would like to share with them. So I've just got a multiple choice question here. And I've assigned the topic that I'd like, and I can then just go ahead and take that out of draft, and that's now going to become live. You can also schedule assignments too, so that's like super useful. Let's say, for example, you have a day that you're going away to do some training, you've got cover set up, you can schedule everything using Google Classroom. You will notice here, like I do like a pun, so I've got some of my favorite classroom assignments here set up ready for my new colleagues to join the school. Bonus points if you can guess what each of those assignments is linked to. But something that I'd like to focus on is actually these two things at the bottom. So I have the level up topic here with Google's Teacher Center, with a brand new version of that, and also applied digital skills. So Google Teacher Center, I'm just going to take you straight into it. It's got a slightly different look to previously, but much the same content. And this is absolutely something that I would recommend that whichever role that you have at your school, that you really have a look at this, because there are some wonderful resources here, from training courses to really nice product guides. And you'll notice that's for every aspect of G Suite. You also have a nice introduction to certifications. So for example, you have level 1, level 2, and there's also the brand new G Suite certification. All I would very much recommend that you have a look at. And even if you don't want to take the exam straight away, the resources themselves are really useful. And then you can jump in and find out some more information on things like becoming a certified trainer, a certified innovator, or a certified coach. So back to the classroom. And the final thing that I put in was applied digital skills. Applied digital skills is a wonderful resource. And it's the kind of thing that quite a few people have heard of, but not that many people have actually dived into and started using it with their teachers and students. But those schools that have done, those schools and colleges that have, I know that they've really reaped the rewards. So definitely after this, if you haven't already done so, I would really recommend jumping into applied digital skills. And this is how it looks. So I set up a dummy class here, so Google Summit demo. And all of the lesson content that I'm bringing in here, it's pre-built for me. And it's all video based, so you can do it as a self-paced course. And you can decide really, really easily the lessons that you want to push out to your students. And then you will see here, so once students join and start to engage with the activities, you can view their progress details. And it really is as easy as this. So if I wanted to add a new lesson, just click on Add Lessons. And I can then choose from a whole host of different baskets that have different collections and different numbers of lessons. So let's say that I wanted to go for Teach from Anywhere here. I've got this collection of 6 lessons, 3 of which I've actually already pulled into my class. And I want to go for this one here. So organizing files in Google Drive, just because that links quite well to the last thing that I'm going to share. And all I need to do now is to click on Add to Class. And this is the class I'm going to share it to. And that is now there ready for my students to access. The integration with Google Classroom is improving all the time. So that means that you can get the roster from your Google Classroom and bring that into your Applied Digital Skills class. But you'll see here that when the page loads, I will now have 4 lessons in there that are ready for my students to access. And one of the best things, as I mentioned, is that it's self-paced. And just a final thing here is moving into Google Drive. So Google Drive, I will avoid the debate on grid view versus list view. I did actually comment on that actually for me, it doesn't really matter too much because I actually access most of the files through G Suite through either recent or just searching Drive at the top here. There are ways of doing advanced search, and that is actually, for me, that works the best. But if you've got your grid view, list view debate, then I'm sure that will continue later. But one thing that is quite common for schools to do, for very good reason, is to share PDFs with the wider community. So you have your link, you push your PDF out. In this case, I've got my Welcome Week 2020-2021. But someone realizes that it needs to change. Maybe you've spotted a typo or there's something has been added. Well, what the good news is that you don't have to upload a brand new PDF. You can actually do something called Manage Versions. The link will stay the same, but you can update the PDF, and it is as simple as follows. So I'm right-clicking on my file here. I can just go to Manage Versions, and I'm going to go to Upload New Version, and I'm going to look at my downloads, and you'll see here that I've conveniently, I have got an updated version of my Welcome Week PDF sitting in my downloads. I can open that up. And that is now the current version. So without me needing to send an embarrassing email out or filling up people's inboxes with another update, just rest assured that if you do need to update a PDF, you can do it very, very easily through Manage Versions. For me, it certainly feels that I'm speaking extremely loudly. But I'm going to be signing off my screen share here now and jumping back into conversation with Gitto. So I will find out exactly how loud I've been speaking. Gitto.
Hi, John. How are you? Loud enough to hear, but not as loud as I normally hear you.
Oh, what a shame. Although maybe a blessing for everyone.
In some ways, let's say it was. Thank you, first of all. That last one, Managed Versions, never seen it before. It goes to show exactly what I talk about, that even people who live G Suite day in, day out, there's just so many other things that we might not know about.
It is. Can I just say, and I speak from experience, it is a really good party trick. It's a real crowd pleaser, Gitto.
I'm absolutely going to steal it and show it up at my next sessions, John.
I don't
normally,
get many parties, by the way.
This is where I'd bring you a whole host of questions. However, I know that you're not able to keep an eye on the comments during your session, but if I give you a quick taste of them, it's full of things like, wow, I did not know about that. Wow, I'm geeking out over this. By the way, you've been added to Team List View, apparently. But my point being, there are no questions because everyone was too busy going, whoa, I didn't know about that before. Whoa, I've learned something new there.
Well, that's good. That's at least and good. Can I just say for that last comment that it's actually called Unsplash, and it's one of many great add-ons. Yeah.
You do have to be fair to Shannon. She did correct herself afterwards.
There we go.
Thank you, John. As always, a pleasure to have you here. I'm not going to make you disappear because I'm actually going to do the opposite and bring back Zaitoon, Wendy, and Bob, if that's okay.
Cool.
So let's bring Zaitoon, Bob, and bring you back in here. Not sure if Bob can hear us, so to be fair to Bob, let's let him go for a second, and I'll bring in Wendy instead. Just thank you from me to all three of you, to Bob and Rachel as well. They're not able to join us at the end, but thank you massively for your contributions. I know I've learned a lot today, and it's pretty obvious from the comments and the chats that a lot of others have as well. This video is going to be available for people to watch at any point. So for all you watching, if you want to come back and just rewatch it all again now. Hello, Bob. Bob is here to rejoin us. Hi, Bob.
Hi.
We nearly had a shot of you looking away there, so I thought I'd let you get ready.
Yes. Sorry.
But a massive thank you to you four. It means a lot that you can find the time to join us here today. Just a few final words. Bob, Acer, thank you again for your support. Thank you for coming along as well to show us a few Chromebook tips. That sheet of Chromebook myths, I think a screenshot and sharing of that will go down quite well. Thank you all. I'll quickly now make you disappear to bring in our goodbye slides.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Wendy.
Bye.
Thank you. Bob, you know what? Let's just leave him on the side there. As we say our goodbyes. As I said, thank you to Acer. Thank you also to AE Learning Lab. If you're looking at getting ISTE certified, then go pop down to AE Learning Lab. I know there's events coming up in California, Europe, and I believe the Middle East as well. Bob has already guided us through some of the Acer Chromebook range. Mentioned, Bob, I'm going to try and see if I made my list here. The 511, the Spin 511, the 311, and the 314, the big ones in there. There is a VIP code there if you come into future events, and that if you're one of the unlucky ones who do not win a free ticket, there's a VIP 10 code there. Write that down, and in future, you'll be able to use that for 10% off if you're coming to a bootcamp or summit in the future. And finally, I'm going to leave that link in as we say goodbye. gsummit.link/Acer if you want to win yourself a free ticket to a bootcamp or summit. Thank you all for joining us today, whether you're doing so live or watching this back. As I mentioned at the start, there was a whole other summit going on this morning with speakers from across Asia. You can find that on the AppsEvents YouTube channel. Don't go and do it right now. You've been here for 2.5 hours. There's another 3.5 hours to watch over there. Maybe take a break and come back later on in the week or in the summer. But from all of us here, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again. Goodbye, all.